Okay, so welcome to another session of my programming tutorial, and in this I'll be continuing from where I left in the previous class. So till now we have seen what header files are, the character set, and we'll just now see about character sets, the C tokens, keywords and identifiers, variables, data types, and also a little intro about functions, and also we'll see various exercise programs after this session. So these are the things that I've talked earlier. So the character set specifies all those characters or set of characters that can be used in the C program. So for example, if you take the letters, you take letters uppercase A to Z. So uppercase A to Z and lowercase a to Z, all these are coming under the letters section. And also there is another classification of characters. They are special characters. Special characters are mainly used for special purposes in your program, like for adding new line in your program before printing, or adding a tab to the format to make the format of your output, and also for form feeds. And so similarly, for all the purposes, special characters are provided in the C program that can be used using in your printf statements. So digits are decimals, just like any numbers, decimals from 0 to 9. And the digits does not include the decimal point, but whereas it can be added, or it is actually a variant of another type known as float. So float is a variable that consists of digits followed by a decimal point and followed by digits. So whereas integer is a data type which consists of only of digits, and double is a variable that data type that consists of digits followed by a decimal and followed by digits. But the size of the double is as double of the float. So remember that the number of the decimal points or the precision can be increased in double when you define a variable as a double. So you can give with we can perform calculations with higher precision values. So that is what digits is about. So other than that, there are special other characters such as comma, period, semicolon, and colon, question mark, apostrophe, and quotation, double quotation marks, and exclamation marks, vertical bar, that is a pipe symbol, and a slash and backslash, tilde symbol, there is a tilde symbol, and underscore, dollar sign, and all these are permitted in your C program. If you look closely, or if you are familiar with C program already, then you will see various applications of these special characters. For one, for the comma is used for separating between the variables declare while declaring. Period is used for special in actually C++, if you want to call the member function of a class, then you need to use period. And semicolon is actually used for terminal character as a end for a single line. And colon is used in inheritance, if you want to inherit a class from one class to another in C++. I'm talking about C++. So in that you'll be needed about colon. And in question mark, it is used in ternary operator. And similarly, all these special characters follow or have a special role in the syntax of the C language. And white spaces are another special characters. They are a blank space. If you need to specify simple blank space, you need to give that. And horizontal tab, there is if you give a horizontal tab, it will format accordingly. So there is carriage return, new lines, and form feeds, and all these are special white spaces, and these are mainly based on or for used on in printf statements for the formatting of your output. So these are the character set that is available in C language. So these are the tokens. And out of the character sets, how you can use the character set together to form a keywords or syntax of the C language. So all these are C tokens. The tokens in C are mainly consisting of keywords. First one is the keyword, the float, while, if, for, and switch. These are all keywords, and identifiers are the variable names. That is the main is actually the main method name, and amount is a variable name. And similarly, there are various identifiers which are simply used as variables in your programming languages. So it may actually, the what you're seeing here is not only applicable to C language but also applicable to various other programming languages as well. So for in order to understand how the basic tokens work, if you are clear with this in C language, then you can easily understand various other languages too. So the constants are nothing but the constant values, the values that are given in the program, and these may be assigned in the predecessors, the hash defined statements, or as variable values. So all these are constants. So the strings are given in double quotations and quotation marks, and you need to enclose whatever you give within the double quotations. And the strings also consist of characters, that is single character also. So the single character can be given inside of the single quotation marks. So single quotation marks enclose single character or a character variable, character type, whereas the string variable can hold the strings using the character array using double quotation marks. So operators are the special characters that we've discussed earlier: the plus, minus, multiplication, comma, dot, and yeah, all these are operators. So that is what we will be discussing later. So special symbols like square brackets are used for arrays, and curly brackets are used for blocks setup. If you need to specify a certain block, you need to open and close with you can just open and close the curly brace. And similarly, the for opening and of a function of and ending of a function, you need to specify curly brace. You need to specify parentheses for function after function names. So all these are special symbols, and these are all the C tokens and examples. So the keywords and identifiers. That is what you saw in the first point here. The keywords. All these are keywords in the ANSI keywords. So if you need to specify in variables or of a variable name or a function name or array name, you cannot use these keywords as a name. For example, if you are saving the registration number of a student, so you cannot use register, integer register, as a variable name. So if you give int register, the register is itself a keyword defined in this table. So as you can see, all these keywords are fixed. So you cannot specify these keywords for any variable assignment. You cannot assign int do. So do, if it is do1, it is acceptable. So if it is straight away just do, then it is not acceptable, because it belongs to one of the keywords. So the identifier names, the variable names, should not be equal to that of the keyword. So both uppercase and lowercase are permitted, but they should not actually be or match with the ancestry keyword. If it is matching, then you will be shown error. So similarly, all these keywords are may consist of several. If you are using for register number, you need to you cannot give register, so you can give integer int, then register underscore number. So similarly, underscore can be permitted as a special characters for inclusive of if you need to specify any separate any two strings or two words in a variable name, so you can give underscore. So it is actually the if you need to specify programming in C, so you can add programming underscore in underscore C as a variable name. So this is what the variables are, or the keywords and identifiers can be understood. So variables. Just like I said earlier, integer a, b, and all these are integer a and b are variables of type integer. So a equal to 34. We assign a value 34 to a. Equal to is the assignment operator. So whatever you give in the left side, if you give anything in the left side, that is the where it will be stored. So if anything on the right side of the equal to, that will be the expression to evaluate, and the evaluated result will be stored on the left side. So the expression will always begin from right to left. So from right to left, the values will be assigned. So if a equal to 34 is given, that 34 is will be given to and stored to a. If b equal to a is given, the value of a will be assigned to b. So in this case, the value of a and b both are 34. Similarly, b equal to a plus 34 or a minus 34 of a, or a plus 34 minus 320 plus 240, or into 2 divided by 4. If we give any expression, long expression like this, and it will also be evaluated in the right side only, and the value or the result of the expression will be stored on the B. So the always note that the expressions or whatever the calculations you require, or if any function returns any value, all this can be given on the right side of the equal to operator, and these can be used to assign the variables. So these are variables. So next is the data types. As you can see, the data types are of various types. First one is the primitive data type. The primitive data type is the integer, float, double, character. There is also long double, short int, long int, short int, and all these kinds of other data types also. We'll discuss that in the future classes. There are aggregate data types. Aggregates means that we are aggregating or collectively grouping the primitive data types into a single data type. This data type is mainly a collection of the primitive data types. And arrays are normally specified by the square brackets. The square brackets of in this example, you can see that after comment line I have given integer a of 20, and it means that a is a integer array. By understanding that the integer is given in the forward, so integer array of size 20. So 20 elements of a integer elements are stored in a. So this is the array in C. So this is example for aggregate data types. So aggregated data type is arrays. Arrays are collection of homogeneous elements. Homogeneous means same type data type. So the same data type, same type of elements are stored as under a single name. So that is the array. After that, the user defined data type is there. So user defined data types is mainly used for the structures, unions, enumerations, and all these are user defined data types. Even the classes can be used in a user defined data type too, but they come under the C++ programming language. In the next semester or in the later on classes, if you are following, if you are interested, the C++ and Java and all these will include the class concept. So that will be much easier for you to define user defined data. So you can create your own data, your own way the data is handled, and you can entirely uh, write programs based on objects in real world. So that can be a major advantage in programming. So user defined data types are structures, unions, and enumerations. So structures are collection of elements, just like the arrays, but structures are collection of heterogeneous elements. So structures form a base of the class. Structures are consisting of various different types of data types, and all these variables are enclosed under a single name, and that is known as structure. For example, a student may have a register number, a name, a date of birth, age, and their address or phone number. And all, if you note down the types of all these variables that I've spoken of. These are all of various types. The integer may be used for register number, and for character array may be his name, and the age may be given as integer, and his weight may be given as floating point, and the address may be character array again with a large size. So all these are different types of variables, and the primitive data types and aggregate data types, all these are enclosed, can be collectively enclosed within a single object using the structure. So structures are like that, and the size of the structure is mainly dependent on all these concepts, all the inclusive of all the variables. Similarly, unions is another important concept, and union are mainly function as structures. The unions are mainly used instead of structures when the memory is very limited, or when memory limitations is under consideration. So the memory may be of an issue if you are writing programs for very small devices or small memory based computers. So in that case, the memory allocation of structure is actually the collection of, or it's the size of, if you give size of structure, it will give all the various data types, and their size that is defined within the structure. So that whole size will be stored for saving a single object, whereas in union, at that instance of time, the union is having in the memory will be printed, and the maximum size of the structure union will be equal to the maximum size of data type, that is the maximum size that is taken for a single data type, that will be considered as a size of union, and the data will be overwritten one by one after, based upon the requirement. So you by when you program using structure, you need not worry about the deletion of data. So whereas in the case with unions, you need to worry about the data, because if you take the input from the user, the unions will not hold the data for long time, because after the unions values are given, the last given input will be overwritten to the previous values in the union. So in this way, unions can be used as an alternative to structures when the memory limitations is under consideration. So these two are similar to each other, and these two form the base of the object-oriented programming that is introduced in the C++ programming language. So that is a different concept. So we'll just stop here, and I'll tell you about enum. Enum is the enumeration. Enumeration is the collection of same type of data. For example, gender may be either male or female or transgender, and these three, the gender can consist of only these three values. It cannot contain other values. For example, if you are using a gender as a integer, so you can assume that you zero for male, or one for female, or two for trans, and these three are just assumptions, and you can give 5 to the gender if you define integer, whereas if you define the gender as an enumeration, then gender will only consist of values male, female, or transgender. So in this way, the programming or the state of the program can be changed based on the enumerations. So enumerations also are a different perspective of the programming. So it is very important to understand all these data types. We will see all these in the following sessions. And functions are simply subroutines. They are actually a partition of large programs and split them modularly. So they actually can hold several set of statements within them, and by calling them, we can use those function, and just we can uh, do what we need to do with the function. So there is no need to go or see what the function is actually having. So the functions may be taken from any library. If you are displaying a certain graphic on the screen, then you can just call a particular function from the graphics API, and you can directly render or display the graphics on the screen without knowing the basic understanding of the functions on how it is written. You can just call that and you can get the job done. So that is the main aim of function. So functions partition a large program and split them up into modularly fashion. So based on a modular architecture, you can use the functions wherever necessary. Code can be made reusable. So that is what I'm telling. You can already define a function and you can uh, override that with another function. So just by changing or modifying, you can just little changes. You can do various other things using functions. So functions are subroutines that can be split up into several models, and these models can be called when required. And these are this can be made reusable or with little or no change, and they can do magical things, as you can just call the functions and you don't need to do, or the user does not need to know what is happening here. So see, just like a magic, the user can use it, but he cannot understand how it is done. So that is the main is of aim of function. So they are just subroutines simply. For an example, void is corona affected, and you get the parenthesis, and you give integer fever, integer tired, integer difficulty in breathing, and integer dry cough. And this is a simple function that is called this the remember the function are subroutines, so they can be called from any where required. So when they are called, they execute a particular set of statements, and the result or they return a value to the calling location. So void specifies that void is actually nothing, not even null, it is nothing. Void specifies nothing. So nothing is required if you call is corona affected. So for example, the this function is can be called uh, is corona affected can be called in your main program, and the fever or the tiredness, level of tiredness or the difficulty in breathing and the dry cough and all these can be given as a input to the function, and the inputs to the function are normally given through the parameters specified within the uh, um, say brackets within brackets of the functions. These brackets specify the various different types of parameters or the number of parameters. In this, the fever, tired, difficulty in breathing, and dry cough, all these are integer of types, and there are totally four four parameters. So these four parameters are given as inputs, and based on the input, we can predict the whether the symptoms lead to corona until the patient, if he is affected by corona or not. If he is affected by corona, then the it needs to inform the uh, what the district or the collector or the hospital, or you need to inform the doctor, and all this can be done. So remember that this function can be called if required. So the open and close curly braces specify that the function is opening there and the function is ending here. So the first hyphen, the void is corona affected, that's that line. The hyphen is not of the syntax, it is from the presentation. The void is corona affected is a single line function. The single line function is actually very long, so it is breaking. So void is corona affected into fever, into tired, into difficulty breathing, into dry cough, and all these are function header. This function header specifies the function return type, function name, and number of parameters and the type of parameters. And the function body is enclosed within the curly braces after the function header. And the predict whether the symptoms lead to corona is can be given in a comment statement. So it is not part of the C syntax, but just I'm giving introduction. So I've just typed there. So after the function, you need to close the, actually after the body of the function, you need to close the curly brace in order to enclose the function. or the working portion of the function. So the body of the function should be enclosed within the curly braces after the function header. So this is the main type, or the main way of using the functions in C programming. So this is an example for the same function. So void is corona affected and int fever tired dry cough you have given here, and I am not given another parameter. So difficulty in breathing is left out. So if fever equal to 1 and ampersand, if tired equal to 1 ampersand dry cough equal to just remember that this is little bit intermediate. You are just in the basics, so I'll be explaining here. If you do not understand this, don't worry. In the later on sessions, I'll tell you what if is, else is, and printf is, and I'll tell you all this. So if I'll just explain it anyhow. So if fever equal to 1, for example, if a person is having fever, then the input will be 1. So if he is having fever, then the input will be void is corona affected, first input will be 1, and if fever is 1, okay, so if it is 1, the int fever will hold the value 1, and comma int tired if he is tired. Some people may be working, so working people, so they may feel tired, but they are not, they may not having corona, so tired equal to 1. If they are tired also, ampersand specifies also. So ampersand, if they are having fever as 1, and they are having tired as 1, and they are having dry cough as 1, so the value of dry cough is 1, the value of tired is 1, the value of fever is 1. So all these are 1. So these are just used as trigger or boolean values. Boolean is not part of the C language, but just for introduction I have given here. If they are having fever, it is given as 1. If they are not having fever, they are given as 1. If they are tired, it is given as 1. Or if they are not tired, it is given as 0. If they are having dry cough, it is given as 1. And if they are not having dry cough, then it is given as 0. So if they are feverish, tired and dry cough, you then the function returns, actually prints p is actually the lowercase printf in the printf. So printf, you may be affected by corona, so there are chances, so you may be affected, so you need to go and see the doctor right away. Otherwise, if all these are not 1, so there may be, someone may be feverish, but he may have tiredness, but he may not have be having dry cough. So in that case, the printf, don't panic, you may not be affected till now. So that is the case. So don't it will the computer will tell you, don't panic, you may not be affected till now. So till now you are not affected, so don't panic just now. So you there are chances, if your house is being surrounded by corona patients, and you may be affected anytime. So right now, based on your symptoms, the computer tells you that don't panic, you may not be affected till now. So that is what the output will be. So this is the first portion, the function definition. We are defining the function. What the function needs to do is defined within the curly braces after the function header. So that line above the void main is used for function definition. So after the function definition, we need to call the function. So as I told earlier, programs always starts with the main function. So void main is the main function, and we are opening and closing the main function. And inside of the main function, is corona affected is called. Is corona affected is actually the function that is defined earlier. If you look above, is corona affected is there. So I am just using that function here. So the corona, the while defining and using functions, you need to be aware that all the function names should be exact when calling and defining. You cannot call the corona affected there, and you can just you can call the is corona affected here, so that will cause problems. The function name should be identical when defined in the earlier sections and also while calling them. So is corona affected is a function that is called is in is it is I is small, and in corona it is C is capital, and is in affected A is capital. So this the notation should be followed while defining and where as in calling. So this while in these two areas the function name should be identical, otherwise the C compiler will throw an error, so it does not know what this is. So I don't know what this is, so that way undefined symbol it will show. Undefined symbol is corona affected will be thrown if you are not aware with the what you have given earlier. So the function name should be same, be in the definition and in the calling area. So is corona affected, is corona affected, in the first input it is given as 0, so it means that the user is not having fever right now. So in the second it is given as 1, so comma 1, so it means that the user is tired. And in the third comma 0, so in this the dry cough, he is not having dry cough, so it means that he is just tired. So what will be the output? So it will be, I think you are very clear now. So it is the output will be don't panic, you may not be affected till now, right now you're not affected, so there are chances, but still uh, there is no need to panic right away, you are just having tiredness. So based on the tiredness, the symptoms and checking, the output will be don't panic, you may not be affected till now. And this is a simple if statement for checking whether the patient is affected or not based on the symptoms. So this is the example for functions, and I'll tell you what functions are, and we'll discuss many things in functions in the later on sessions. So thank you for that, and I think you're enjoying my sessions, and stay tuned, and I'll be taking many programming classes as well. These are only not only based on PowerPoint presentations, but also programming sessions. There will be programming sessions, there will be debugging sessions. I'll show you how it's done, and I'll show you every corner of C language, and it is going to be very interesting. And I hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you.